Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Marie Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry, and we're coming to you from the edge of the Great Red Divide. In Murray, today we're going to talk about the last few days of the impeachment testimony, the impeachment trial, the people who appeared, and our takeaways from this. So we're just going to wrap it up for you. We're not going to go down point by point because everybody else has been doing that. So we're just going to give you the Heartland Mamas
takeaways.
Right.
So the first day was an extremely long day. There were 4 witnesses, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Remember, it's opening statements, which can be as long as they want. Then both sides have 30 or 45 minutes.
45 minutes,
to be broken up between the chair and the ranking member, as well as their attorneys. Mm-hmm. And then it goes to each committee member has 5 minutes. And then the responses. So the first day we had Kurt Volker and Tim Morrison started us off.
In the morning, and they did a stunning job. And, it was...
We had a difference of opinion on this.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not feel... Morrison felt sort of mealy to me. Morrison felt like...
He wasn't camera ready?
Yeah, he wasn't camera ready. And I'm not talking, Vegas showgirl dancers. And it was, I felt like he was trying to still walk the line.
Well, he was one of the ones that the Republicans wanted to bring in, feeling that they would...
But they didn't get to call any witnesses.
But that was one of theirs.
That's their story. They didn't get to call any
Even
witnesses.
Though those 2 that opened the day were the witnesses that they picked, that they chose to testify.
But it wasn't Hunter Biden. And Hunter Biden did nothing wrong.
He was already cleared.
In 2016, the Ukraine went through an exhaustive process to verify Burisma, and there was no wrongdoing found. When Joe Biden kicked the prosecutor out and held up money for 6 hours, not 60 days, 6 hours, until they got rid of the corrupt prosecutor, which had nothing to do with Burisma or Hunter Biden.
You know what, Murray,
I just need to make sure everyone is very, very clear on that.
Is this the corrupt prosecutor that also took off for Russia with $80 billion from Ukraine?
Yeah. So that's another part of where we get confused, is that we do need investigations into Russia or into the Ukraine, because they did take $80 million of U.S. taxpayer money and disappeared because of his ties to Russian oligarchs.
Yeah.
So they are investigating that, but that's separate from Burisma, which is separate from the Ukraine prosecutor. Say it with me. Nothing wrong with Biden.
He did nothing wrong.
No.
And that it had nothing to do with him whatsoever. It was just our current president wanted to have some dirt on a political rival, Joe Biden. So he realized that Hunter Biden was employed in the Ukraine for a few years, and he was trying to make something out of nothing. So it was a whole lot of smoke and mirrors that
it was
brings
a red
us to
herring
this
that
point.
They were trying to use.
Yeah.
So none of the arguments held up. He was fighting corruption is one of the arguments that's been continued. Just fighting corruption in Ukraine. It had nothing to do with Biden at all, right?
No.
Well, we know that that's not true because it was verified by several different sources. We also know that the timeline is not true, the one they're trying. Yeah, well, we didn't hold up the aide. Oh, we did. Well, they didn't know about it. Yes, they did. They knew about it for 2 months.
Well, at one point,
released.
We found out that they knew the day he made the phone call, the very day, July 21st.
The very next day, after he and Trump had that call.
They were
withheld.
completely aware
about it.
Yeah,
yes.
They were completely aware of what was going on, and everybody who testified, all of the people that testified from the beginning to the last 2 people that testified, every one of them has testified that Trump did know what was going on. It was at his direction, at his behest, with using the backdoor channels with Rudy Giuliani.
The GOP did try to throw in there the narrative that it is a rogue shadow policy, saying that perhaps, I think they were trying to give the president deniability that he might not have been involved, that Rudy took it upon himself to make these deals and make these threats.
But they can't do that because David Holmes overheard. Now, here's the thing with David Holmes when he testified, and he's a career diplomat, somebody who is not political, does not have party affiliation, who's worked under both administrations, and has no dog in the hunt.
As were all of these witnesses.
Right.
Sans Sondland.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, but Holmes overheard the phone call on an unsecured cell phone in the middle of Kiev on a restaurant patio.
Which, as we find out more and more information, the Democrats have to stay on track. They have to stay on message. They can't go down different avenues.
Rabbit holes, yeah.
But the fact that he was using an unsecure phone to talk
to the president
of the United States,
person to person,
that
with nobody listening in on the call because it was unplanned,
should be investigated. Well, the fact that the president is allowed to use unsecured lines to talk to anyone needs to be investigated.
The thing that, besides that phone call, which gives Trump the inability to deny he knew everything, in addition to that, I found out through this that we have people communicating diplomatic communiques based on foreign policy that are sensitive on something called WhatsApp. Are you kidding me? Why don't we do Instagram?
Snapchat.
It
goes away.
We can put little ears up.
24 hours.
What is wrong with you, Donald Trump, that you would allow so many unsecured channels to do sensitive work of the State Department?
There was another moment that came out from this, and it was about security.
About security, and they're using WhatsApp and an unsecured cell phone? Lock them up.
Yeah, personal email server. What was that? Millions of dollars and years of inquiry
into Clinton's emails. And we have a phone, an unsecured phone in Kiev on the patio of a restaurant with anybody that can hear it that's having lunch that day. And then we're following up with a WhatsApp chat.
Well, we don't need to worry about that. I mean, forget it, because Russia already has a bug in the White House.
Yeah, his name is Donald Trump.
So they hear everything anyway. They know what is going on. The whole world does, because Donald Trump has built no team around him that has a head that he is allowed to help guide him in how he needs to do this.
Gutted the State Department.
He's gutted every department. If you recall, CPAC in 2017, Steve Bannon set up and said, that is our entire plan to dismantle the United States government.
Right.
Tear it all down.
Make sure that all of the people assigned, all the secretaries assigned, are completely unable to do their job. And the only
Rick Perry did a great job in Ukraine. He got a lucrative gas deal for his buddy. He's doing good.
Right. And you got to think about the two that are have been there the longest, which would be DeVos and
she's not going.
And Carson. No. And the way
is
that
Ben still alive?
I don't know.
Looks half like he's had a stroke.
Somebody pokes him now and then, and he, like a sloth, he opens his eyes. But just watching what he's done to the housing and urban development, watching what DeVos has done to education, Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and all the people that surround them are dangerous to our democracy, Marie. And I think our takeaway from watching these, and we watch these impeachment trials,
every word,
because so you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's why we watch these things, so
that's
you
why
don't
we're
have
explaining
to.
What really happened.
So here's the other thing. I had no idea that ASAP Rocky, who's a murderer from the United States who murdered somebody in Sweden, was so important to the Trump administration. I'd like him to name one song. I can't name anything ASAP Rocky has done. And the fact that the Kardashians are giving foreign policy advice to our president. She's famous because of a porno.
Okay, that's.
But those are some of our takeaways. Is that it's such a bunch of fluff, It's such a bunch of fluff when there's important work to be done.
The arguments that are being made are not even defending arguments at this point.
No.
It's, okay, everybody knows he did it. It wasn't that bad. In fact, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson, came out and had this whole little spiel for one of the Sunday shows last week. And he said, that the whistleblower exposed things that didn't need to be exposed, and that issues over military aid would have been better handled behind the scenes. He said that there is damage being done to our republic because the whistleblower blew trust in our elected officials. No, that's what they're supposed to do. That's
right.
The point. We can't hide behind the scenes and not know what's going on.
And the other thing, too, is that the line of questioning from the Republican Party was clearly done only to try to discover who the whistleblower is so that they can drag them through the mud.
A lot of the questioning.
The president live tweeting intimidating remarks towards some of the people.
So he went after Yovanovitch.
Yes.
He went after Jennifer Williams.
Yes.
The two of the women who've testified up to this point, which, and then Mike Pence denied that he really knew Jennifer Williams, even though she was his top aide.
Right.
So, yeah, okay.
Mike Pence, you mean he actually opened his mouth and words came out?
He is hiding. He is hiding like nobody's business because he thinks he's going to be President Pence. He does. He really does.
Guilty.
I think he's hedging his bets.
Guilty as sin in all of this.
So after the first day of long fact witnesses, we moved on to Ambassador Sondland, which we were very excited to hear from. The guy
is a smug bastard.
Is a charlatan. He's charming in a used car salesman kind of way. And when he's talking, I can actually see his wheels turning and, the wheeling and dealing of being in foreign policy. And I was really torn because there were moments I'm like, you are shady AF.
He is shady.
And then there were other moments that it almost felt like he doesn't know any better. Like, that's just how he does things.
Well,
I think is a part of the problem with Trump.
He was a complete frat boy. He's a fanboy of the president, complete fanboy of the president.
But the president doesn't know him.
Oh, no, not at all.
The president doesn't know him. So the president's, he had a couple phone calls with him. He gave you $1 million to your inauguration fund, and that fund made $50 million total. So I'm going to guess 1 out of 50, you probably know who he is. You made him an ambassador.
There's pictures of them together.
And Trump said, I keep smacking her. Trump said, he got on board late, came in late, wasn't really,
He made him the ambassador to the EU. That's a huge cushy position.
And oversee Ukraine.
Yeah. And he has no experience.
No,
absolutely none. And listening to him talk, Marie, I told you, he reminds me of one of the bad bosses when I was an office worker that can't make their own coffee, can't take their own notes, can't make their own appointments, can't hardly dress themselves, completely out of touch with anybody but themselves and their frat boyfriends. And just such an arrogant, smug bastard. I mean, yeah, you thought it was funny when he said, what did he say? He said something. Trump loves your ass.
Yeah,
or no.
President Zelensky loves your ass. And one of the representatives said, did you ask him, or did you say this? And he says, sounds like something I'd say.
Because he's just an arrogant ass. This is how he's treating diplomacy. The world peace is at stake, and people's lives are at stake. And that's how he treats the situation he bought his way into. He's in so far over his head, he can't find himself.
So, to me, he felt more, not like the incompetent, entitled boss, how you felt he felt. But I felt like he was 1980s stockbroker.
Yeah, I can see
swinging back, doing wheels and deals on the golf course and the bar.
Yeah.
We'll
doing
just
a couple lines.
Well, hey, I'll do this, you do this. And without any ethics to guide him. So to speak.
I don't think the man has any ethics. I don't know anything about his personal life, but the way he came off, he would be the nightmare that some woman has to work with and try to organize. No, I'm betting it's a woman because he wants to demean and dominate, and that's just the impression I got of him. Of course, it could be that horrible boss I had a long time ago. Why Heidi doesn't do corporate America anymore,
So remember, Donald Trump barely met this guy. He talked to him a couple times on the phone.
Yeah, but he took his phone call personally.
On his cell phone.
Sondland had the direct line to get to the president. Now, it had to go through the switchboard, but he gets the phone call, or makes the phone call. Trump picks up, and David Holmes overhears him. And it was the total quid pro quo that we've all been hearing. It was the extortion, the bribery. This all happened, and Holmes is hearing him, word for word talk about this. But he doesn't know him, but he's got a direct line to him. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Trump is ridiculous. He's ridiculous. He's a Russian agent.
Well, I don't know if I would cross that line, but he's an idiot.
I'll cross it.
He's
So let's talk about the buzzsaw that is Fiona Hill.
Oh my God, my hero used to be Sally Yates. I think we've all forgotten about what a hero Sally Yates was.
Sally Yates is amazing. Yovanovitch is amazing.
Fiona Hill smoked Yovanovitch.
When I grow up, I want to be Dr. Fiona Hill.
We thought it was so interesting that he attacked Yovanovitch. He attacked Jennifer.
Trump's assistant.
No, Pence's assistant.
Pence's assistant.
Yes, Jennifer Williams.
Yeah.
He never attacked Anita Hill. He never attacked Dr. Hill.
She is terrifying to him.
Just like he didn't attack Nancy Pelosi for a very, very, very long time. And he
only does
it when he's at his wit's end because he's terrified of her. He's terrified of Fiona Hill.
Well, there's nothing more terrifying to most Republican men
than an intelligent, articulate, well-thought-out woman. You're right. Yeah, pretty much.
We want to make her an honorary Heartland mama.
She is officially. So if you're listening, Dr. Hill, you are a Heartland mama. We think you are amazing. You're calm, cool, collected.
Intelligent. Thoughtful, thought-provoking.
Listening to you was a true delight.
It is what I imagine diplomacy is all about.
Yes.
When I think of diplomat, I think of
you.
Yeah.
Not Gordon Sondland. No. Used car stockbroker.
Yeah, used car salesman, Gordon Sondland.
Yeah.
So, Gordy, I'm sure all of his friends call him Gordy. And here's one of the things that she said that I love, so I wrote it down. And she was talking about the anti-Semitic trope that was put out by Tsarist Russia that still prevails today, that talks about demeaning people of Jewish faith, and the same trope that was used against George Soros, and her showing how dangerous that type of rhetoric, that trope is to the people around us, to the people we know.
You mentioned the absolute key here.
Yeah.
She tied in Russia.
Yes, she did.
Dr. Hill brought it all back to Russia.
Full circle.
She tied it in a way that makes everything in the Mueller report come to life.
Yes.
In a different light, combined with the fact that the Democrats did an amazing job in how they staged their witnesses.
Right.
You have a fact witness, establish some groundwork about what it really is. The emotional Marie Yovanovitch. Then we had lots of more fact witnesses.
Fact. I mean, just a lot of truth, a lot of people who have spent their life in diplomacy that really work hard to make this world work.
Then you have Sondland, who's your used car salesman, and they wrap it up, coming in hard and strong with
Dr. Fiona Hill.
Dr. Fiona Hill, and she's the one who and Representative Eric Swalwell, you got a Heartland Mama shout out. You were awesome.
Yes.
During the last day of testimony, bam, drop the mic.
He was amazing. Mr. Heck was also very cool, very thoughtful, very thought-provoking. And I would say if you're going to watch any of the days of testimony or a compilation of them, I would
watch Swalwell dunk on Nunes.
Yes.
When he released the Daily Beast article, and Schiff allows it to go into evidence. So the article states that our buddy Lev Parnas, we've heard of him, he was working for Devin Nunes. Rudy Giuliani's henchman was also working for Devin Nunes.
And Parnas, remember, is under indictment.
Devin Nunes is on the intelligence committee and had to remove himself from the Russia investigation in 2017 because he late night Paul Revere's midnight ride over to the White House and potentially gave information. But he stepped back. And the best part, if you're not watching this, you got to get to about 20 minutes because it was this. I'd like to enter into the record the Daily Beast article quoting Lev Parnas is working with Devin Nunes in multiple issues. They traveled to Ukraine for 4 days in the winter of, and you just see him going, you see him visibly breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. He's trying to calm down because he knows his goose is cooked.
Yeah.
Which makes sense why he is such a sycophant to Trump, because he's involved in this, which there are many that are.
I kept thinking during watching this, because I wasn't aware about the Nunes connection to Parnas, and I really wasn't aware of it. And when I'm watching this whole trial, and I kept thinking, why is he working so hard to prove a point that's unprovable, to vilify people who are above reproach, to deny what happened?
Because that's his job. You have to remember.
Well, that is his job.
As in the party, whatever party would be the opposite party would be doing the same thing.
Yes.
And what typically happens, though, is that the White House has a clear message, or there is some deniability.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any messaging. They did this half-hearted attempt to create a war room way too late. And the messaging the president wants sent out is nothing. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. There was no quid pro quo. But there was.
There was.
It's the and then at one point, by the last day, you have representatives like Stefanik going, so in all of the testimony that we've heard, in everything that we've done, has any of our witnesses used the word conspiracy? Have any of our witnesses used bribery? No. So bribery and conspiracy, are you nuts? It's the same thing.
Stefanik needs to get a dictionary. Maybe we should send her one.
Yeah. Oh.
And heck, you can get one at Dollar Tree.
We'll send her
a dictionary. And maybe we'll put like a little Post-it so she can find the definitions of the words. And go ahead. Here's the one thing that I wrote down from Hill that I really wraps everything in a nutshell. President Trump was having our diplomatic corps go on a domestic political errand.
That is an excellent way to put it.
Yeah, to me it was just chilling how she was able to disseminate it, boil it down, bring it right to that point.
And she has that awesome accent. Come on, who could not listen to her talk all day?
She has a very working class English accent.
It's an English accent.
I know.
It's just the best. I love
she
English
talks
accents.
About I have a friend. Well, never mind. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was beautiful and cultured and
it just added
lovely
to her confidence. It added to, because there's a little bit of different accents carry different connotations.
Yes.
And when you hear an English accent, no matter where it's from, you assume breeding. There's this authority that comes with that sort of an accent.
Is that a leftover from colonial times?
I think it might be. I don't know, but there's just a feel about it. And I think that also lended to her validity and her grubby toss, if you will.
She was amazing.
Now, Daniel Radcliffe was a D-bag. He attacked everyone.
Oh, my God.
Conway attacking Holmes for talking to others about, unflatteringly, about the president. So, Holmes, our last day with Anita Hill, right?
Yeah.
Holmes is the advisor who was listening and overheard the Sondland Trump call.
Right.
He came forward after the last week's testimony.
Right.
And so they deposed him and he came out and spoke. Conway, Representative Conway, attacks him about discretion. In your job, do you use discretion? Do you talk about things with people? Do you tell people things that you shouldn't? Because it seems like you told a lot of people about here in this conversation, didn't you? Do you think you should have more discretion? He was such a jerk. When the president has a call that people can hear in public,
everybody else is,
and that's what he
there's no
responded.
discretion.
He said I was one of how many people that heard, and it was true.
And people at tables, behind. He pointed about a table behind him of other diners that would have overheard a diplomatic call between our top diplomat and the president of the United States. I mean, does it get any worse, Murray? I mean, does the man have any way to not leak stuff? President Trump is just, I hate saying that. He's just unbelievable that none of this matters to him. And the fact that Sondland said, listen, it's only important to him if it benefits him. He doesn't give a crap about anything else.
He did. He said it pretty plainly.
Yeah.
And I thought Sondland was interesting because he wasn't a sycophant for the president. Even though he was smarmy, he was pretty like, nope, that happened. Nope, that happened. Like, without claiming, because he could have claimed the fifth because he had to change his testimony so many times. And, I don't remember.
Yeah. But, Sondland was trying to tread that fine line between all the way up the president's butt and I don't want to go to jail.
Yes, he was. And I'm not sure he did it. So then what's next, right? That's, I guess, where we're finally to.
Yeah.
Next steps. We don't know what's next.
Well, there's been so much obstruction. I don't know that they'll be calling any witnesses. I mean, we would love to hear from John Bolton. We would love to hear from Trump. We would love to hear from Giuliani. We would love to hear from Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney.
Don't you think we will need
Pompeo
and or documentation that they're withholding from the inquiry they're not turning over?
They keep putting it into the record that so far they've not turned over one piece of paper, that they've forbidden this witness and that witness from coming forward. That's why they went in this other direction, because they had so many people that were forbidden by the White House from coming forward. And that obstruction of justice is an impeachable offense. Remember Richard Nixon?
We don't even know what the charges are going to be yet. They have not drawn up official charges yet.
Well, I think you've got a strong case for obstruction of justice and quid pro quo.
Usually they do 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And they have to put it all together. And I think they may need to make some more calls for witnesses.
I would love to see Giuliani get up there and incriminate himself, because I don't think...
He incriminates himself every day.
That's why he's so much fun to have. So I just think it'll be...
But it wouldn't be... You're 100% right. Say that again. I'm going to be a GOP representative. Go ahead. Please repeat what you said.
Oh, for Giuliani, he would be so much fun to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would be fun. It would be springtime for Hitler,
Okay.
What?
I was going to go along with that, but I can't exactly remember what I was going to do.
I don't know. So the thing is with having Giuliani out there.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, Giuliani will say, in the president's own words, is I need you to do something about investigating Biden. It's there. It's proof. And they say, well, you didn't hear it. It wasn't. You didn't hear him say that. They deny it. So
Giuliani's fingerprints are all over everything.
Giuliani could say anything and they would be like, not true. And if Giuliani did testify, they would try to discredit him because he is being investigated for his connections with Parnas and Igor. And, so he would be tough to be a credible witness, I think.
There's nothing credible about Rudy Giuliani. As I've said before, Rudy, after you were America's mayor, you should have retired and gone away and not... This is your legacy.
We're going to have to do an episode on mayors because we got one to talk about that needs
What?
a kick in the pants.
Which one?
Bloomberg.
Oh, Bloomberg.
Ugh. Anyway, so we just wanted to give you an update on what had happened in our takeaways, and we don't know what's going to happen next.
We do know
the Congressman Ford will decide what charges that they're going to
in about 2 weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Unless they decide to call more witnesses.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know. Although they were beautiful, again, I think they were absolutely masterful. They used the Mueller
Patriots.
report as a base for what they were able to use the Mueller report as a base. And Dr. Hill wove Russia in and brought it all back full circle.
Yeah.
Now, we can't conflate the two because people will get confused.
Right.
And if the Senate did their job, hopefully it would come out in there. But I don't think they're going to. When
The Senate is not. It's going to be a kangaroo court when they do it. And here's the thing, Murray. Even if they do
agree to impeach, they don't have to remove.
They don't have to remove him from office. And we're just kind of going around in circles.
It's going to depend on the polling.
It's going to depend on polling.
The only thing that will sway those vulnerable senators: McSally, Gardner, Collins,
Ernst,
Tillis.
Yeah.
These senators are on the fence. They're in really treacherous area. None of them have embraced Trump and brought that with him. If Trump's popularity drops to equal or lower than theirs in their areas, they're going to cut bait. I mean,
well, Trump is only in office as long as he's valuable to McConnell, and when McConnell finds him to be an albatross,
McConnell is so dirty.
Yeah, when McConnell finds Trump to be an albatross, he'll cut him loose. He'll sell him out.
So.
No, I think he will.
I think that Mitch is so in this that he can't. Now, I think all the other senators can.
Yeah,
but I think Mitch can't even fathom that happening.
Mitch is living the dream that he planned for himself. He's not a man with a lot of friends or a lot of activities. He likes to consolidate power. And with power, he's also now consolidating money, not just for the state of Kentucky, but for himself. And has become a millionaire many times over by these shady dealings. And there's no place for Mitch McConnell, the Mitch McConnells of the world in our government. There just isn't.
And there's a lot of them, as we saw. We knew Devin Nunes was off, and we saw what happened. He is now in the congressional record to be investigated. We've got other representatives being investigated. My fear is no matter what happens with impeachment, this is so deep and so dirty and touches so many
hurts my
people.
heart. It hurts my heart.
I really honestly
it's the
don't
soul
know
of our
how
country.
We'll come back from this. And what happens if those crooked... What happens if Nunes gets investigated and you can't throw him out and his people vote him in again? Then you've still got crooks in.
Well, he's in a pretty solid Republican district there in California. And I don't know if the people that keep putting him back in will have enough spine to push him out, because
unless he has a challenger that's good.
I don't know that he has. I think he's got a challenger, but
I think what's going to happen is in 2 years, when all this has shook out somewhat, you're going to see a huge surge of Republicans, center Republicans.
You're talking about 2022?
Yeah. You're going to see you know how the Democrats have all these challengers against incumbent Democrats that are too corporate minded or too not progressive enough.
Right.
Or I think we're going to see the exact same thing happen in 2022 with the Republicans when they get back on their feet. They're going to go, hey, we have to stop biting into the evangelical. Trump destroyed so much of this. We need to go back. I think you're going to see a swing.
Well,
no Republicans are good Republicans.
That's the thing. It's like there aren't any good Republicans anymore. I mean, you can't. Well, Bill Hurd from Texas, arguably kind of close, but even watching him depose the witnesses and then watching his good copy interpretation of what he just heard, he's like, I didn't hear anything impeachable. What the heck? How can you watch all these hours of testimony and go, oh, I don't see anything impeachable here?
Maybe
he's just
he was
as polluted.
playing Candy Crush on his phone.
Well, I don't know. He just it's just a waste of time.
So you know what we know. Now you know where we are. We hope we gave you a nice synopsis and let you know who our superstars were, who our salespeople were, who is a winner and who is a loser. It'll be very interesting to follow as we go forward.
So like, follow, share, subscribe.
It's so important. Please like, follow, share, spread the word. This is why we do this, is to get a different perspective out there.
Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com. See you soon.
Bye.